What is going on, my beautiful people? Welcome to Embrace the Journey podcast. I am your host, Alexis Borteza. And real quick, if you are only listening to this, I just want to let you know that you are listening to a live recording. Yes, I am officially back on YouTube with the page Embrace the Journey podcast. We'll get into more as to why this is necessary, because that's really what today's episode is about. It's about trying again. Girls and guys, get up and try again. That is essentially what this episode is about. But I'm back, so we'll get into more details like that. If you are new here, hi, welcome. Please stay a while. Here on this podcast, we talk about all things healing, journey-wise, anything about growth and becoming. That's the space. Hence the Embrace the Journey podcast. I believe that life is full of journeys. We are not on just one. We are on many micro and major journeys to ultimately become who we are meant to be and created to be. So that is the space that I have created here. So please stay a while, subscribe, follow, like, do all the things. All right, so let's get started. Apologies to whatever outside noise you may hear on this recording and this podcast, because honey, when I tell you firefighters be coming through here where I live, like we are going through World War V and we're not. So I don't know what's going on. I'm just going to apologize to you in advance. So yes, let's talk about the topic, trying again. So I've obviously taken some time away in terms of like this portion of my podcast, which is the filming aspect, which is the video aspect. I had a lot of guests on my previous podcast, as well as solo episodes. And I'm gonna be very honest and very transparent, because that's just what I like to build my platform on. When I first started this podcast, I was in a different apartment, right? It was actually smaller than the current one that I'm in. Ironically, when I moved into the bigger apartment, I almost forgot how to utilize space. I don't know what was going on. I don't know if it was just me, my mind trick. I could not figure out how to set up a perfect spot while also giving my home a homey feeling. Right? The idea came to me literally a few days ago, and I was like, Alexis, why don't you just use your couch? So y'all, you are literally, if you're watching this, you are literally seeing my couch. It's a black velvet couch. So we gonna use her. Okay. So that's also another thing about this podcast. Use what you got. If you're gonna try again, you don't need extra stuff. Yes, you might need to invest in a few things, but you don't need top of the line. Just use the couch. Use your back wall. Use what you got. Okay. Trying again doesn't necessarily mean you don't have enough. It means you need to change your perspective on what you do have so that you can execute better and properly. That's just the honest truth why I haven't been filming. But I do want to talk about this whole idea of trying again, because I'm actually on that journey, and I want to talk about this journey as I'm going through it. I have this podcast, right? So I have a YouTube page for this particular podcast, but then I have a YouTube page for my personal life, right? And there was a season that I had to private everything. During my wilderness season, a lot of people call it the wilderness season. Some people call it the incubation period. Whatever you want to call it, caterpillar season. Whatever season you want to call it, in terms of you have to kind of step away to be developed. Yeah. Well, this YouTube page was essentially that. I had heard, and I know I heard from God, that I need to private everything. So I was like, all right, cool, bet. Me, how I'm wired, I'll be thinking when God tells me to stop doing something that I'm never going to touch it again. Like, nope. All right, you said no? Bet. Sky Daddy said no? Bet. We're not turning it back on. Oh, but how Sky Daddy loves to tell me things like, I think it's time to pick that up again. And I'm like, why? Like, I don't want to do it. I don't. And here's the excuse I was telling myself. And I know this could be for somebody. When you feel like you are on a new season of trying something again, the first few things that are going to pop up are your doubt, are your excuses of the past. Well, you know, it didn't work out last time. I don't know why I'm going to do it again. And do you see how it's changed? And the landscape has changed, and just everything has changed. And that is normal. When you are being pushed to do something again, to pick up something again that you put down at one point of your life, you will have all of the excuses, and the excuses are rooted in your fear. Okay, let's just be honest. It's fear. That's not, truth and love talking. That's fear. Because quite honestly, when I looked back at my videos, I was like, oh snap, I actually was doing something cute and good. I actually was getting views. I actually have subscribers, right? But in my mind, my fear began to twist things and say like, Alexis, who won't listen to you, right? Who's going to do this? Who's going to do that? I don't talk about anything that I don't go through, right? So with much time and much consideration and much thought, I decided I'm going to try again. And this even came to YouTube, not just YouTube, but it came to TikTok and everything, and being consistent. I said, you know what? The one thing I don't want no one to take away from me is that I'm consistent, that I stand on everything that I've done. And that's what drives me. Yes, like they say, when you plant a tomato tree seed, when you plant it into the soil, are you going to get a tomato tree the next day? Heck no. Tell me what seed that you can plant and the next day you're going to get something. I'm talking not just a sprout. I'm talking a full-blown mature plant. What seed can you plant to produce that? Exactly. None. So I had to have that same concept. I had planted seeds and I forgot to water them. And then that's when we blame God. We blame everybody else. Well, I mean, it just didn't work out for me. Look at that person. Look at that person. They never shouted me out. And that just didn't, honey, I forgot to water the seed. And I was told to walk out. I was told to put it away. I was told to stop, just get away from this garden. We'll tend to that at some point. So I say all that to say that I'm back here because I'm trying again. And it's not a trying again that, oh, I'm starting from scratch. Baby, if you've tried once, you are not starting from scratch. You are starting from something. So that's why I have kind of taken time to just revamp, refresh it. You know what I'm saying? Like a spring cleaning. But the importance of trying again is really betting on yourself. I think in a world where we are so quick to compare ourselves and say we aren't good enough because I don't have this and my stuff don't look like that, we want to say like, oh, well, I'm not going to do it. But then you find yourself 5 years, 6 years, 10 years later being like, what happened? What would have happened if I didn't stop? What would have happened if I actually gave it a shot? And I told myself, I'm no longer giving myself that opportunity. I'm no longer giving myself the opportunity to say, what if? I'm done. I'm trashing that. I'm not giving myself the opportunities for those things anymore. I've given myself too many, and it's left me with regret that I've had to heal from and maneuver through, and a little cloud of grief might come by and I got to deal with that. We're stopping that. Another thing is too, whatever it is that you are trying to start, whatever journey you are trying to be on, you're going to have a grit when no one's looking. And the reason is that is called training. I call it training. I call it character development. Because if you're not going to show up for the 3 likes, what makes you think that you're going to show up for the 3 million likes? You see what I'm saying? I think sometimes we want our grit to be there when we get big, but the grit really needs to be there from day one. When you got 2 people liking your stuff, when you only got 3 comments. Because you know why? That lets you know that regardless of how big this gets, I showed up for myself. I showed up for the 2 people that were like, yo, I thank you. I love your content. We as a society in a generation that's so heavy on numbers, if we don't show up for the few, we'll never show up for the many. And that's just what it is. And also too, are you disciplined? Are you disciplined to the point where even when you feel like you don't want to do something, will you do it? Me right here. I'm pointing to myself. Do you know how many times I said, yeah, I just don't feel like posting nothing? Because I felt that it wasn't significant. I hate to admit that I did that more than I'd like to admit, to be honest. And what I had to go through was regret. I had to maneuver through regret. And I couldn't blame nobody but myself. It was me. It was me. So I really just want to encourage, again, because I do have a gift of encouragement. That is one of the gifts that I have. I need to encourage somebody to try again. I'm doing it. Why can't you? Like, we're so quick to make 85 million excuses, but what happens if you just tried? What happens if you just posted something, Tried it again, started putting yourself out there. I know it's scary. I know it is. And that's why if you go onto my regular, my personal YouTube page, you'll see that I've unprivated a lot of videos of my past because I'm no longer in a space of shame. I'm no longer in a space of embarrassment. I'm in a space of that was my beginning. And that beginning is a beautiful thing because I have one. You cannot become an expert in anything if you don't have a beginning. Every great expert has a beginning. So what makes you think that you can bypass that? I'll wait. Exactly. You can't. And it's imperative. You got to have a beginning because that's how you learn. You learn, okay, maybe I don't like this lighting. I don't like that intro. Actually, I don't like that font. My hair was looking wonky that day. Or whatever it is for you. I don't know what it is. It could just be, it's different for everybody. But you have to have a beginning. And I want to blame... Partially, I want to blame social media because we see a lot of highlight reels and we think that they didn't have a beginning, but they did, and they just didn't showcase it. So if you can showcase a beginning and you have the proof, baby, please use that for your advantage. Remind yourself, use your beginnings to remind yourself that you can keep going forward. You can keep trying. You can keep doing what you need to do. But what you're not going to do is rid yourself of the opportunity to not try again. No, you're not doing it. If I say so, I'm your big sister. I'm telling you that you can't do that. So yeah. So to any young person on here, either young, old, my age, whatever, whoever is listening, please don't give yourself another opportunity to say, what if? Don't give yourself an opportunity to have a regret just fester. And then you're sitting there like mad at yourself. I think it's one thing being mad at people. It's one thing not forgiving people. It's another thing when you don't forgive yourself. Do you know how many things I've had to forgive myself for? And sometimes that shame wants to pop up. And I'm like, nope, not today, because I've already forgiven myself for that. I did the best I could with the information that I had at that age. We have moved on. Forget movie. We have moved on. So yeah, I say all that to say, please stay encouraged. Please try again. If I can be an example to you, let me be that example. If you have been rocking with me since 2020, which some of the people have, I can't keep track of everybody, but if you have been rocking with me since my early days of coaching with Tony Gaskins, being featured on his channel and all the things, then you know we've been at this, we've been striking. Right. And even my times away have been intentional. It's because I needed to pivot. I needed to rewrite the plan. I needed to, okay, maybe I need to see what's really in my lap. Because sometimes I bet you $5, 99% of you have so much sitting in your lap that you are like, oh, I don't know what to do with it. It's in your lap. Look at it. Just look. Look around you. Look at what you have. Look who you have. It's right there. I don't know who this is for, but this is somebody. So the message is that simple. Try again. Like Aaliyah said, dust yourself off and try again. That is all I have for you today, folks. Again, you know, on this side of the podcast world, we keep it short and sweet. But again, thank you so much for listening. If you are new or this is your first time, popping up on my feed, please subscribe, stay, share. Listen to my other podcast episodes. I have great podcast episodes with some great guests. Yeah, and I'm trying to see like what guests I want on. Having guests is it's a little bit more work, but we're going to do it. We're going to do it. Please subscribe, share, do all the things. Thank you so much for your support. And regardless of what anyone ever tells you, just remember that your journey matters. Toodles!